I was talking with someone the other day about how we spend our whole lives avoiding silence. It made me realize that this is something I've done my whole life and continue to do. But why do we do this? Why do we spend so much of our time, energy, and money avoiding silence when it's unavoidable? The first one is that we think that it's uncomfortable, and it is uncomfortable for most people. Most people don't know how to sit in silence. They can't sit in silence because they feel awkward or weird or uncomfortable. And so they fill that silence with noise. It's inescapable. Even if you could avoid it, why would you want to? After all, what's wrong with silence? So I started thinking about this, and I realized that there is a few reasons why we spend our whole lives running from silence. We think that it means something is wrong with us. It's just not true. It's just not true. Because in the silence, we might hear some negative thoughts. In the silence, we might feel some emotions. And so we fill the silence with noise to avoid feeling those uncomfortable things. But think about this for a second. We're all terminally ill. We buy things, we consume stuff, we eat food, talk to people, we watch TV, we listen to music. Emotions are neither good nor bad. This is a good thought. This emotion is bad. This emotion is good. When we judge our thoughts and our emotions, when we judge ourselves, that's when we create the suffering. They just are. Sometimes we have positive emotions. Sometimes we have negative emotions. Sometimes we have neutral emotions. Emotions just are. They're neither good nor bad. We do all these things to avoid being still and quiet and present and actually facing the reality of our existence. Sometimes our thoughts are positive. Sometimes our thoughts are negative. Sometimes our thoughts are neutral. Thoughts just are. They're neither good nor bad.
Okay.
None of us knows how much time we have left. If there's silence, then I must be boring. And just be present and just sit in your chair and just experience whatever it is that's there. Maybe there's nothing there. Maybe it's just comfortable silence. Maybe you feel a negative emotion. Maybe you have a negative thought. Maybe you have a positive emotion. Maybe you have a positive thought. Whatever is there, just be present with it. Experience it fully and completely. Welcome it. Allow it to be there and then let it go. If there's silence, then I must not be valuable. If there's silence, then no one wants to be around me. If there's silence, then something must be wrong. We're all going to die. Some of us are going to die young. Some of us are going to die old. But none of us knows how much time we have left. And yet we live like we're going to live forever. When you go to a comedy show, right? The comedian goes on stage and they tell jokes and they get laughs. That's great. But then there's also those moments where they tell a joke and there's silence. There's no laugh. But that's not a bad thing. That just means that that joke didn't land. But the comedian doesn't think less of themselves. They don't think, oh, I'm not a good comedian. I'm not funny. That's just how it is. Not every joke lands. And so one of the things that we do is we fill our lives with stuff, right? We fill our lives with stuff to avoid silence. The second reason we avoid silence is because we use silence as a measure of how we're doing. But think about this. Yet we take it so personally when there's silence in our lives. The third reason we avoid silence is because we fear what might happen in the silence. But think about this. And our thoughts are the same way. It's only when we start judging our thoughts and our emotions, when we start saying, oh, this is a bad thought. So the next time you find yourself wanting to escape from silence, I invite you to just be still.